On April 4th, 2026, a 55-year-old woman from Michigan vanished from an 8-foot rubber dinghy, inches calm Bahamian waters, and her husband waited more than 8 hours before telling anyone she was gone. For 54 days, investigators have searched for Lynette Hooker. The U.S. Coast Guard has opened a criminal investigation. Her yacht has been seized, and the prime person of interest is the man she called her soulmate for 25 years. Visual, type or Sacre's terminal readout lines. Case file, Hooker disappearance. Date, April 4th, 2026. Location, Elbow Cay, Bahamas. Status, criminal investigation. Open suspect, Brian Hooker, person of interest, duration. But the document true crime investigators are pointing to right now, it's not a statement. It's not a phone record. It's 17 seconds of security camera footage that nobody was supposed to notice. Because just 17 minutes after Brian and Lynette Hooker left dinner that night, something on board their yacht flashed bright white inches the darkness. To understand what investigators believe happened on the deck of the Soulmate, you have to understand the life Brian and Lynette had built, and the life she had reportedly decided to leave. The Hookers were not amateurs. Married for 25 years, the couple lived inches western Michigan before selling their land-based life inches 2023 to chase a dream advertised inches thousands of YouTube videos, full-time ocean sailing. They bought a yacht. They named her Soulmate, and they began documenting every sunset, every harbor, every glass of wine on deck under the social media handle The Sailing Hookers. Visual, type, sound, location, or PIN. Location, Elbow Cay, Bahamas. Coordinates, 26, 5,285, 76, 9,587, duration. To their tens of thousands of followers, they were living the impossible dream. 2 people, 1 boat, endless horizon. The captions spoke of love. The videos showed laughter. But behind the camera, according to Lynette's own mother, the marriage was collapsing. Inches, March 2026, just weeks before the disappearance. Lynette Hooker told her mother, Darlene Hamlet, that she was planning to leave Brian. According to Hamlet's interview with CBS, Lynette had already bought a plane ticket home to Michigan. She never used it. Instead, 3 weeks later, she was on a dinghy with her husband off Elbow Cay, inches the Bahamas. And then she was gone. According to Brian Hooker's own account, the couple had eaten dinner at a hotel restaurant. They left at approximately 7:30 p.m. They climbed into their 8-foot inflatable dinghy to return to the anchored Soulmate. Somewhere between dinner and the yacht, Brian says, his wife went overboard. Then came the 8 hours. Data, type, shoes, stat, value, 8 unit hours. Context, to delay, before husband reported wife missing, dramatic sound, true. 8 hours during which Brian Hooker did not radio the Coast Guard, did not flag down another vessel, did not, by any official account, do what every sailor inches the world is trained to do the moment a person enters the water. Visual, type, check, data glitch, value, status, 8. Unit hours. Context, delay before husband reported wife missing. Duration, he paddled, alone, to shore, and arrived at the marina at 4 a.m. on April 5th. That is when the search began, and that is when the questions began. Because the first question investigators asked was the most basic 1 inches maritime survival. What were the conditions when Lynette allegedly fell overboard? Brian's account suggested rough water, the kind of conditions where an experienced sailor could simply be swept away. But true crime journalist Ashleigh Banfield, who has covered the case extensively, says the data tells a completely different story. According to Banfield, marine weather records and witness accounts confirm the seas around Elbow Cay that night were calm, not stormy, not dangerous. Calm. Visual, type radar sweep. Location, Elbow Cay, Bahamas, duration. Data, type comparison. Label of Brian's account, label B weather records. Everything he said, Banfield stated publicly, is a lie. That is a stunning accusation from a mainstream journalist. But it is not the only piece of physical evidence pulling against Brian Hooker's version of events. Investigators recovered Lynette Hooker's Apple Watch on the yacht Soulmate. That detail might sound minor. It is not, because multiple witnesses confirm Lynette appeared to be wearing the watch when she left dinner at the hotel that night. If she went overboard from the dinghy on the way back to the yacht, that watch should be on her wrist at the bottom of the Atlantic. Instead, it was sitting inside the boat she supposedly never made it back to. Visual, type conspiracy board nodes. Brian Hooker, person of interest. Apple Watch, found on yacht. Security footage, 17-second flash, 8-hour. Delay, unexplained. Plane ticket, never used. Duration. And then there is the footage. Security cameras positioned near the harbor captured the anchored Soulmate throughout the night of April 4th and into the early hours of April 5th. According to investigators reviewing the footage, two separate moments stand out. The first, a bright flash of light on or around the yacht at approximately 7:47 p.m., exactly 17 minutes after Brian and Lynette left dinner. The second, another flash, around midnight. Data, type timeline title, the night Lynette vanished. Let's lay out that timeline. 7:30 p.m., the couple leaves dinner together. 7:47 p.m., a flash of light on the Soulmate. Midnight, a second flash. 4 a.m., Brian arrives at the marina, alone, inches the dinghy, reporting his wife missing. What was the flash? Investigators have not publicly confirmed. It could be a camera, it could be a flashlight, it could be something else entirely. But the timing, 17 minutes after they left a restaurant they were supposedly leaving together, directly contradicts the narrative that Lynette never made it back to the yacht. If she fell from the dinghy on the way home, she was never on the Soulmate that night. So why does the watch say she was? And why does the camera say someone was moving on deck within minutes of them leaving dinner? On April 8th, 4 days after Lynette vanished, Bahamian authorities arrested Brian Hooker. He was held for 4 days, questioned, and then, on April 13th, released without charges. But released is not the same as cleared, because what happened next is, to many investigators following the case, even more damning than the 8-hour delay. Brian Hooker gave an interview to CBS News. Inches it, he stated emphatically that he was staying inches the Bahamas, that he would not leave until his wife was found, that he loved her, missed her, and would do everything possible to bring her home. Within hours of giving that interview, Brian Hooker left the Bahamas. He flew to the United States. His stated reason, to visit his terminally ill mother, and according to all reporting available, he has not returned. Shortly after, the U.S. Coast Guard escalated. They opened a formal criminal investigation. They seized the yacht Soulmate. They transported the vessel to the Coast Guard station Inches, Fort Pierce, Florida, where forensic teams could process every inch of the boat outside Bahamian jurisdiction. That is not the behavior of investigators who believe a tragic accident occurred at sea. That is the behavior of investigators who believe a crime scene is floating inches the water. And then journalists began digging into Brian Hooker's past. Inches 2015, police Inches, Michigan responded to a domestic violence call at the Hooker residence. According to the report, both Brian and Lynette accused each other of assault. No charges were ultimately filed, but the record of mutual allegations remains. Go back further. Inches 1999, Brian Hooker was charged with child abuse. The allegation that he had choked his daughter from a previous marriage. The case went to trial. Inches 2000, a jury acquitted him. Data, type network. An acquittal is not a conviction. A domestic call is not a crime. But step back and look at the pattern that true crime podcasters and the case's investigators are now assembling. A wife who told her mother she was planning to leave. A plane ticket bought, never used. 25 years of marriage with documented domestic conflict. A prior accusation of violence against a family member. A vanishing Inches, calm seas. An 8-hour delay. A recovered watch Inches the wrong place. Flashes of light on a yacht nobody was supposed to be on. An interview promising to stay, followed by a flight out of the country. The case has become inches, the words of multiple commentators, the Natalie Holloway of 2026. The comparison is not casual. Inches 2005, 18-year-old Natalie Holloway disappeared inches Aruba during a graduation trip. The case consumed American media for years. No body was ever recovered. The prime suspect was eventually convicted of a different murder before confessing to hers. Lynette Hooker's disappearance has triggered the same media gravity, same podcast obsession, same nightly cable coverage, same haunting sense that the truth is sitting somewhere just out of reach. But here is what separates Lynette's case from so many others. The evidence is not circumstantial whispers. It is physical. The watch exists. The footage exists, the timeline exists, the weather records exist, the plane ticket exists, the prior reports exist, and somewhere, inches a Coast Guard facility, inches Fort Pierce, Florida. The yacht Soulmate sits under forensic examination, its decks, its cabins, its hidden corners being processed for any trace of what happened inches those 17 minutes after dinner. As of this recording, Brian Hooker has not been charged with any crime inches connection with his wife's disappearance. He maintains, through statements, that Lynette went overboard accidentally. He is, under American law, presumed innocent. Every accusation against him is, for now, an accusation, not a verdict. But Lynette Hooker is still missing. Her body has not been recovered. Her mother is still waiting for answers she may never receive. And the investigation, far from cooling, is intensifying. So I want to leave you with a question that investigators themselves cannot yet answer. If the seas were calm, if the watch was on the yacht, if the flashes happened when they did, if the husband left the country hours after promising to stay, then what actually happened inches the 17 minutes between dinner and that first flash of light on the deck of the Soulmate? Drop your theory inches the comments. If you've followed this case closely and you've spotted a detail I missed, I want to hear it. The families of the missing deserve every set of eyes we can give them. If this investigation matters to you, subscribe. Because as the forensic results come back from Fort Pierce, we will be right here, breaking down every new piece of evidence as it surfaces. The Soulmate is Inch's custody. The husband is Inch's Michigan, and Lynette Hooker is still out there, somewhere. The ocean does not forget.